welcome to Dacman Productions and welcome to Conrail. Got another great video for you guys that love Conrail. As you see, my Conrail 50th anniversary shirt is making another return for this video, and there's a reason why. You will find out here in a minute. Well, maybe not exactly a minute. Don't hold me to that. And I'm wearing my white Conrail trail van hat to go with the shirt. That was a gift from Greg over there at the Purple Hole. Loved the hat, and he said, "Here, you can have it." It's like, wow, thank you. I haven't seen another one since he gave me that. I don't know. But anyway, so we got a couple of unboxings to do today in this video. And we're going to start off with the one from Mr. Muffins first. So let's take this one, which is semi-open. I'll explain that here in a little bit later on in the video. I won't say a minute, but we'll go ahead and open up this one from Mr. Muffins. Now, when I originally pre-ordered one. I really wanted two. But at the time, something told me, you know what, I better order just one, just in case, because I had ordered a whole bunch of other stuff, and I wouldn't be able to afford two of them. And I'm glad I did that, and you'll find out why, and a little bit later on in this video, why I was glad that I only pre-ordered one. So here we go, Mr. Muffins. Great to deal with. Love Mr. Muffins. A lot of other people do too. He has his own show. He's on YouTube. He does live. Got into doing HO, so if you're an HO person too, check him out on that. And so anyway, I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing. We'll be right back. Oh wow, that was good. Yeah, I'm cutting in a little bit sooner than I would have because of my reaction. But yeah, this thing's beautiful. Very, very nice. Let's open up the that is the Conrail SD80MAC that you guys are looking at. Such a beautiful locomotive. Now, we're going to compare this to the older versions. Lionel did make the SD80MACs back in 2012. I have all three of those. 2 powered and a dummy unit. They're absolutely hard to come by. They're not easy to find. Which is also not to be confused with the Lionel Lion Scale SD80MAC they made around that same time period. I don't know if it was exactly 2012 or a year before or after. But Lionel also made a Lion Scale version of the SD80MAC that was only available in a set. You had to buy the whole set, and then they had one add-on locomotive for that set. Now, the whole entire time I've been back in the O gauge since 2015, so since then I have only seen one complete set for sale. I mean, I've seen pieces here and there for sale, you know, a locomotive or cars, or somebody might have both locomotives up for sale, but I have never seen one for sale in a set until I went to the Greenberg train show in Delaware. Met a guy who was selling, just, you know, kicking off a conversation as I normally do as a videographer, and he pulls out this Conrail, this Lionmaster Conrail set. Look at it, and he's got the box and he's got the shipper's carton for it, and he's struggling with trying to get it out of the box. And so I said, here, let me help you with that. And I helped him with it and set it up. He said, thanks. I'm like, this isn't going to last long. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, this is the first time I've seen this set in the box. It's the original box, and you have the shipping carton. This is not going to last this show. He goes, you really think so? I said, yeah, you are not taking this home. I said, this is the only one I've ever seen complete with the box, and you had the shipper too. Sure enough, that was early in the morning, right around 11. I think it was 1 o'clock. I walked by there. He goes, yo, come over here. Like, yeah, what's up? He goes, you're right. Somebody bought it. I'm like, I told you. And he says he didn't even argue the price. I'm like, yeah, that set is hard to come by. It's not easy to find complete, and you had a shipper with it. That was a no-brainer. You know, I almost thought about buying it myself, but I already have the full-scale one, so I'm good. So what they've done is Lionel, we'll compare it to, has changed the fuel tank on these to be more prototypical. So we'll look at the old version, compare it to the new version. I believe they had 2 powered units for sale, or this time around, that you could buy. Again, I only got the 1 road number, and I was just getting ready to buy the 2nd road number, but things changed. And we'll explain why in a minute. Okay, so I grabbed the non-powered unit from the 2012 era collection that I have. And yeah, Lionel has definitely not painted the same color. So the 2012 version is definitely a darker color. So if I take this, and we'll take a better look at it. Needs to be cleaned up too. A little dusty. And we're going to look at the fuel tank to see if how much more they improved it. There you go. These are definitely 2 shades of blue. Yeah, no doubt about it. So 2012, 2026. What are my plans? Because I already had 3 of these, and you see me buying another one. And you guys are like, well, Dak, man, how many SD80MACs do you need? Well, there are some people out there that buy 20 SD70 Aces or have 20 big boys or whatever have you. My plan is to run a cold drag. So Conrail did run cold drags. They bought the SD80MACs with heavy cold drags in mind. Yes, they pulled other trains besides cold drags, but the main purpose of mine was to put them on cold drags. So I'm just sharing my reactions with you guys, just getting this out of the box and just looking at them and comparing it to the older ones. Alright, so I have another one to open up. And no, this is not the 2nd road number of the SD80MAC. This is not the 2nd road number of the Conrail SD80MAC. Before I open this up, I want to address one comment that I got. I have to. I know you guys say, don't pay attention to comments, but I like addressing them anyway. So I got a comment on one of my videos where I was talking about, I think it was a box car or a hypercar, whatever have you, about how prototypical it was, if the color was correct, and I was talking about the history behind it, and the details. And that's something that I like to do, and I put it in a train and ran it. The comment was along the lines, you made this video on how prototypical this car was with the colors and history, but yet you put it in a train, and in that train you have a car that's total fantasy. And then they put rolling, I LOL or something along the lines of that. And my answer to him was, or her, or whoever it was, that yes, that is a fact. I am not a person who's 100% prototypical, and I'm not a person who's 100% fantasy. I like both. So when I buy a piece that's based on a prototypical train or scheme, I will talk about that and review it on how close it is to the real thing, so viewers, or in particular my viewers, can make the decision whether they want to buy it or not. Such as the Conrail 60-foot boxcar. Lionel did really well with that, and people bought that car because of my video. They told me so. So there have been cars where I weren't happy with, and you know, and I will mention that there's nobody in my pocket to tell me or how to review something. If I don't like something, or I don't think something is that prototypical or close, I'm going to mention it, just like I did right here with the two SD80MACs. I immediately, even though I'm a big Lionel fan, said, hey, the colors are different between both versions, the 2012 and the 2026. I'm not afraid to mention that on my channel. I'm completely 100% honest in my opinions, and that's what they are, opinions, whether you agree with them or not. It doesn't matter, because this is my channel and I'm going to put my opinions out there. You can disagree with them, that's fine. I'm good with that. But I enjoy the fantasy pieces too. Now, generally speaking, when I buy a fantasy piece, I don't normally put on video because there's really nothing to talk about it. There's no history behind it. And I just find them cool. And so I'll run those too. There are people out there who like both. And there's a reason why I mention that now in this video, because of what's in this box. Because what's in this box is fantasy, but it is a super cool piece, and it's going to make you Conrail O-Gauge fans drool. So what do I have here? It is a unannounced, not cataloged, secret, because I didn't see anything on this. Well, actually it was kept a secret for a while. So this is a secret project by Conrail. And yes, I don't know how many times I gotta say this. Conrail's still in business today. Maybe one day these guys go around saying Conrail's out of business will end. No, they're not. They just had these made. So Conrail went to Lionel and basically said that, hey, we want you to make these special Conrail 50th anniversary locomotives on the SD80MAC. And that's what happened. So you can see this is still sealed because this is going to be part of my story. So I'm now cutting this as I'm opening this. So I don't want to hold this up by talking and not doing anything. So nobody knew about this secret project on the Conrail 50. April, I believe it was right around April. Whenever these came out, Conrail handed them out to office employees. Only got these. From my understanding, Conrail only had Lionel make 160 of these, and that was it. So how did I find out about it? Because that's got to be part of the story. So a guy, and everybody's going to remain anonymous in this story. So a guy's wife works for Conrail. She just so happened to work in the office. He just so happened to have an O-Gauge layout. She comes home with this, knowing that he's going to love it. He runs it, takes a couple pictures of it. I just so happened to see it and said, hey, how can I get one? Not knowing the story behind it. Because I thought it was done by, you know, Legacy Station or not Mr. Muffins, because I didn't see him advertise it. You know, Train Road or somebody had to do this. They said, no, Conrail had this done for office employees. Only they could get it. And so I asked him, well, how do I get one? He said, you can't. They're office employees only. You can't get one. Oh, man. I'm going to hold off showing you guys. Oh, it's beautiful. Wow. I'm trying to hold my composure here. So, wow. They did a nice job on this. So, with that being said, I left it at that. Next thing I know, the same guy puts his up for sale for $3,000. In the meantime, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not $3,000 nice. I'm thinking to myself. So I'm trying to reach out to the people that I do know in the world of Conrail, the real world. And I know one guy who knows some people that are higher up. I asked him, hey, can you see if you can get me one? He comes back and he said, look, I talked to Brian himself and he said they were all given out to employees. There's none left over. And, you know, talked to a train engineer to see if he knew anybody that would sell them or sell one. Of course, he's no gauger himself, so he'd probably buy it for himself before he'd tell me about it. Not that there's anything wrong with it, because I would do the same thing. So I was running out of options. I was like trying to get into a secret society to buy something. It was almost impossible to get into Conrail to actually reach out to somebody to buy one. And how I ended up getting into that, opening a door, I was just looking for an open door anywhere, you know, trying to my best because I wanted one of these in the worst way. And finally, how did I finally get into open a door for somebody to sell me one? Well, I came up with a tactful insult post. Is basically how it all worked out. And I know you guys are like, well, what's that supposed to mean? A tactful insulting post. So I called out the guy on a post. Basically I said, you are crazy if you think you're going to sell this for $3,000. There's no way anybody's going to buy this locomotive for $3,000. And after I made that post, I thought about it. I said, you know what? He probably did that to keep everybody from asking him to sell it to them. And you know how you post things and then after the fact you think about it and like, yeah, he probably doesn't really want to sell it. He said, yeah. All right, everybody keeps asking me about it, and I'll put it out for $3,000. Basically, that's what I did with my house. I had people send me information, or actually texted me or calling me, hey, we want to buy your house. I'm like, sure, $1.5 million. And they're like, well, that seems kind of high. It seems like it's more than what the place is worth. I'm like, well, that's what I want. I said, don't call me back unless you can put $1.5 million on my table and then I'll sell. And after about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 of them, they all went away. I haven't had a contact yet for somebody to buy my house for $1.5 million. Because it ain't worth that. But that's what I would sell it for. So that was one way to keep people from bothering me. And so I'm thinking, I kind of felt bad. And then his friend, you know, behind the scenes decides to send me a private message. I accept it. His friend's like, well, they only made 160 of those. I'm like, you're absolutely correct. I said, but that doesn't make it rare. I said, there is a organization called Mecca, and their locomotives, most of them, are only made in a quantity of 40. And I said 160, that's pretty much almost a regular run of Conrail Legacy locomotives. There's nothing really special about 160. And you notice how I'm wording my words here. It's all respectful. I did not at one time disrespect this guy. That's why I said it was tactful. I never said, hey, you moron, you dumb idiot, you're stupid for selling it that high, your friend's a jack, whatever. You know, I didn't go there. I didn't do it that way. I was respectful in the whole entire thing. I didn't say you're effing stupid or something like that. No, I kept it all on a respectful level, even though I was calling it out. And I think that's what opened up the door for me. And he's like, and I think he saw my point that I was trying to make. He says, I said, I'm willing to pay more for it than what it's worth, but not $3,000 as in more, not $2,500 as in more. So then he comes back at me a couple days later. He says, I think I know a person who might want to sell theirs. I said, well, find out how much it is, and then I'll decide whether it's fair or not. He come back at me and says, yeah, this person wants to sell it, and this is how much he wants for it. I'm like, well, that's fair. I'm willing to pay for that locomotive that much. So he gives him my information. He sends me a friend request. I go ahead, accept it. We talk. I don't know. It was like off and on for like 3 weeks at least. We're going back and forth about meeting places. I was busy. He's busy. The amount. But I was never pushy. I was not pushy about it. He's like, well, this is how I want my money, and I said, well, I can't do it that way. These are my terms. It's like, well, I can't, I really don't want to do it that way. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I hear back from him another week. He says, you still want this? I'm like, yeah. Alright, we'll do it your way. I'm like, okay. So we went with my terms. He was happy. I was happy. He works for Conrail. That's all I can tell you. I'm not going to tell you his name, which Conrail he works for, and what he does. So, now that story is out, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something from it, because we can basically call people out without having to get into cursing and all that. There's really, you can conduct business in yourself without cursing. And I believe that's what got me into opening up a door at Conrail to buy this piece that you guys are about to see. So if I had to guess, when this guy opened up the outer carton and seen what it was, he said to himself, WTF am I going to do with this? But that's fine. I know what I'm going to do with it. This is a special custom run done for Conrail themselves. In other words, Conrail commissioned Lionel to make these. The Conrail 50th anniversary locomotive. And this is something that I could see Stu doing over at Mecca. This would be something along the lines of his idea. But it has the cab number of 1976, which is when Conrail was formed or began operations. And I am just happy to have this, because only Conrail employees got this. Now, will there be other Conrail employees that will sell these in the future? Probably. You never know. They'll come up sooner or later, I'm sure, on eBay or a second-hand market somewhere. But I didn't want to wait. I wanted one now. And I got it. And I'm so happy to have it. Beautiful locomotive. Absolutely wonderful. Alright, so we're going to get these out on the track. We'll talk about the real version. We'll show you close up of the fantasy piece. So let's go. So I put this on a track and went to program it and I had to do a double take. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here. I know the cab number said 1976. What's going on here? So it's got two different cab numbers. The left side, or the fireman side of the cab, says 2026, which would mark the anniversary of the Conrail locomotive. And then you can see on the other side of the cab it says 1976. It's so cool. Okay, before I move on with the review, as I mentioned, there is a color shade difference between the 2012 version and the 2026 version. And I don't want people taking my words out of context, because I can hear a couple comments now. Oh, Dakman hates it because the color shade is off. He doesn't like it. And I don't like when people put words in my mouth. So what I'm going to say is that yes, although I mentioned there is a color shade difference, doesn't absolutely mean that I hate it. I will let you guys know when I don't like something in my video. I have done that before in the past, especially with that Lionel 4-bay hopper car they absolutely destroyed when they produced that. But at any rate, that's not the only thing that I noticed. I did notice a little difference in the paint scheme. So if you look at the 2012 version, it has white lines under the windshield. The 2026 version does not. So here is a honest review right off the get-go. Doesn't necessarily hate it, but it's just an honest review for those who are real prototypical. So which one of these schemes are correct? The 2012 version. So we had the regular run of the Lionel Legacy Conrail SD80MAC number 4119. As I mentioned, Lionel did update the fuel tanks for this run of the SD80MAC. They are more correct prototypically in size and look, so it is a big improvement. The Lionel Legacy this is a full scale. This is not a Lion Master. So this is a full scale, features Bluetooth, has all the bells and whistles. I've reviewed many Lionel Legacy locomotives in the past. 4 bells, 4 horns to choose from. It's got the cab chatter, what I call it, advanced cab chatter, or extended cab chatter with their radio talk and all that stuff. So they are improving the cab chatter on these as well, like MTH. Still not as much dialogue as an MTH version, but they're getting there. Alright, so let's talk about the Conrail SD80MAC. Now, the Conrail SD80MAC was such a comfortable locomotive. The Conrail engineers, some of them, nicknamed it the Cadillac of Conrail locomotives, so it became known as a Cadillac. So the SD80MAC was produced by EMD and was a 5,000 horsepower diesel electric locomotive. It was powered by a 20-cylinder version of EMD's 710G prime mover and was the second locomotive by GM EMD to use the V20. The very first one was the SD45, which had its issues with crankshaft snapping. The placement of the dynamic brakes were at the rear of the locomotive, which was a quieter location. Features that were incorporated into the SD80MAC and the SD70ACE models. The difference between the SD80MAC and the 90MAC include no external rear sandbox on the SD90MAC, no rear lighted number boards on the SD90MAC, and the placement of the number boards above the cab windows on the SD80MAC and on the nose of most SD90MACs. There are a total of 30 EMD SD80MAC units built. All those were delivered to Conrail. Conrail bought these brand new. However, prior to the 1995 merger with Union Pacific, Chicago and Northwestern Railway placed an order of 15 SD80MACs. Canadian Pacific placed an order as well, but it was changed to SD90MACs. Conrail planned a second order of SD80MACs, but its new owners changed the order to SD70s and SD70MACs, all which were built at the Junior Auto Shops in Altoona. After the split of Conrail in 1999, the SD80MACs were split up between Norfolk Southern and CSX. Norfolk Southern received 17 units, numbered 7200 to 7216, while CSX got 13, numbered 800 to 812, and then renumbered to 4590 to 4602. In late 2014, Norfolk Southern announced they had reached an agreement with CSX to trade 12 EMD SD40-2 units for CSX's remaining 12 SD80MACs, leaving NS as the model's sole operator. They were delivered to NS in April of 2015. In February 2020, Norfolk Southern retired all 29 of its remaining SD80MACs due to their operational cost. 6 units were sold to Kansas Pacific Kansas City, then at that time Canadian Pacific Railway, as part sources for the recent EMD SD70 ACU rebuilds. The remainder of the fleet went to Progress Rail and were scrapped as of January 2022. The Conrail Historical Society was in contact with CPKC, hoping to have one SD80MAC set aside for preservation, which at that time was Conrail number 4100. After failing to make an agreement with Progress Rail, as of 2026, the 6 remaining SD80MACs will remain in storage as the remainder were scrapped. What was unique about the Conrail SD80MAC locomotives is they used a self-steering HTCR radial truck with large 45-inch wheels and flange lubricators for high adhesion and low rail wear. And this was crucial to help this big locomotive through curves and switches. The SD80MACs were also equipped with distributed power, or DPU, but was rarely used. Well, we're going to be using it on Conrail. Conrail was so impressed with the EMD SD80MACs, they ended up purchasing the 2 demonstrator units as well, EMDX number 8000 and 8001. Alright, so we're going to put this in a train in my coal drag, and we'll run these as I mentioned. Alright, so I know I promised a 60 car train. Unfortunately, my pre-orders didn't come in. I'm a little short, everybody, just a little bit. I had pre-ordered 2 4-car sets and Conrail from Atlas Premier, and then 2 additional add-on cars for a total of 10. So I'm a little short on this one, but hey, we'll go ahead and run it. There'll be another day. So I decided to make the custom run, the lead locomotive, and why not? I mean, it is the star. As I mentioned, the Conrail locomotive engineers called the SD80MAC the Cadillac. So the name of this train is going to be Cadillac King Coal. And why not? Okay, so you noticed I only made one lap of this train. Normally I can make more than that, but honestly, you know, I'm 100%, you know, honest with my reviews and stuff. So the new legacy locomotives run just a tad bit faster than the 2012s. I don't know why or what's changed, but it barely makes it a lap around the layout, and then there's too much tension on the train that starts streamlining the cars. Normally, when I run this train, I run my 2012s up front, SD80MACs, and then I ran some older legacy stuff with it. So it looks like, for the most part, you can't run the new legacy stuff with the real old stuff for some reason, and a DPU. I'm sure if I was to put together, it might drag it a little bit. I don't know, but I just wanted to put that out there, that I had a little rough time running this one. Now you'll notice in another video I made like 2 or 3 years ago, I ran this coal train with the two SD80MACs up front, one as a DPU, and I think an SD40 and an SD40-2, and they were all made around the same time period, and the train ran flawless. I had no problems running that. So for some reason, these new ones run just a little bit faster than they should compared to the 2012s. They just don't sync up correctly 100%. If you know how to fix that, let me know. I'm not sure. Okay, so I was running 2 different types of coal cars today. For those who don't know, I was running a 100-ton 4-bay open hopper. Those were near the back of the train. They are the Conrail H2 class. I've had people told me that Conrail never had 4-bay hopper cars, and I debunked that. And yes, they did. Conrail had 100-ton 4-bay open coal hoppers. They were built at the Conrail's Hollidaysburg, PA car shops between 1994 and 1996. Up front were Conrail G52X coal porters, or Bethgon bathtub gondolas, built in 1997 at Conrail's Hollidaysburg car shop. There were 600 cars in that class and featured an aluminum tub to maximize coal capacity. Now near the end of the train, you'll see one that was actually in gray. That one's by Lionel, and Lionel did a good job on that. So the reason why you see one in gray, that was an experimental coal porter. Conrail was experimenting with building them out of stainless steel, so to keep track of how well it held up, they painted it gray. I almost forgot the 2 black hoppers on the very back with yellow stripes. I've had questions about them before. Those are ex-Erie Lackawanna coal cars. They're MTH Premier. So those are Conrail HE7E and HE7A, but these were HE7Es. Was a 70-ton 3-bay open hopper originally built for Erie Lackawanna. They were delivered in May of 1974 by the Greenville Steel Car. They were 2,750,000 cubic feet cars. I hope you guys give me lots of thumbs up for this one, and please hype this video, because I came home at 5 o'clock and I studied putting this train out, and I didn't get everything unboxed and on the track until 7:30. So yeah, I literally spent 2.5 hours putting the train that was on the track up and then putting this one out just for you guys for this video. But anyway, we'll catch you at the next train show, next event. We'll catch you trackside. Goodbye.